Hello, everybody. This is your favorite Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. This is your co-host, Mike L. And as always, I'm joined by...
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right. And for the first time ever, we've kind of had a, I don't know if you could call it crossover, not really a crossover, but like a two-parter, because last week we reviewed All-Star Squadron number 3, featuring DC's Golden Age heroes in the 1940s. And this week, we have All-Star Comics number 69, featuring the Justice Society of America, which are part of DC's Golden Age heroes. And this was published and set in 1977. So kind of a follow-up, kind of a comparison.
Yes.
So before this week, neither one of us had read this issue.
That is correct.
In fact, you didn't even know, I don't think you even knew of the existence of like this series, did you?
I did not.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, the important thing to remember is All-Star Squadron was like a retcon, right? That was retroactive continuity, where they pretended that all these Golden Age DC heroes all teamed up in the 1940s, even though they never actually did. At least not in that way. And that was set in the 1940s, but published in the 80s. And this is a 70s comic set in the 70s, but on Earth-2, which is, as we have talked about on the show, features different versions of the Flash, Green Lantern, and the Atom, as well as other heroes that do not exist on Earth-1, like Wildcat and Hourman and Star-Spangled Kid and a few others, and Dr. Midnight, people like that.
Yeah, we got to talk about some of these people because I'd never heard of a few of them. But okay. All-Star Comics, its original run was 1940 to 1951. Yep. And then it was reborn in 1976 with issue 58. So they just picked up the numbering from the first series.
Right.
And then it ended in 1978 with issue 74. Mm-hmm. And its ending, Michael, was part of what was known as the DC implosion.
That's right.
Yeah. Are you familiar with this?
Very familiar. I've read an entire book on it.
Wow. I guess the title was it was a play on words, like that's what it's called, anecdotally by people who were involved in it. But I guess DC ran a promotion earlier that year or the year before called the DC Explosion, right?
Right.
Where they were going to make the issues bigger and they charged more for the issues, but more titles. Just hyping up DC. It was like a new dawn for DC. And then like within a year, what happened, Michael?
Well, basically everything failed.
Yes.
And so they were losing money fast, and so they panicked and just canceled comics left and right with almost no warning. And so there was actually, I don't know if you came across this, but there was a lot of unpublished comics from that time. Like for example, let's just say Firestorm had like one issue left over, and Black Lightning had one issue left, and these comics were never published. And so I'm not sure if you came across this, but DC put them all together into a black and white photocopy like comic book, and just photocopied like say 25 copies and just distributed them around the office, so at least they could secure the copyright for the stories.
Oh, okay.
And so this became like the holy grail of DC comic fans, right? Like for years, like for example, Mark Waid, he broke into the industry in the 80s and worked his way up until the day that he could finally get his hands on a copy of Canceled Comics Cavalcade number 1. And when he read it, every story in it was a piece of shit. And so, so it wasn't worth the years of build up. Anyway. Yeah,
so the DC implosion, at that time, 17 books were just canceled.
Right.
And then like within the next year, another 14 I think got canceled. So, but All-Star Comics was one of those original 17 that got the axe. So that's why this ended. And also it would have been screwed over not long after that anyway, right? Well, I guess if we get 5 years later. When was Crisis on Infinity Earth?
That was 1985, so it was many years later, yeah. So.
Yeah, 7 years later they would have been killed anyway, so what can you do? All right, so hey, what's going on in DC at the moment, Michael?
Oh, they're just going out of business. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that kind of ties into the DC implosion. So they fired their publisher, like their president and publisher, or is that what?
Yeah, their co-publisher Dan Didio, who's kind of been the face of the company since about 2005.
Okay.
So out of the blue with no warning, last Friday they just fired him. And basically, no one's sure what's going on. No one's really sure who's in charge. But the rumor is that DC had been planning this big event called 5G, which was supposed to be yet another, not like a reboot, but like kind of like a refresh where they would launch new versions of all their old characters. Like I heard a rumor of like a black Batman and all this other stuff. Now, I hate legacy heroes, and I hate, I'm not a fan of Miles Morales Spider-Man or Azrael Batman or Connor Hawk Green Arrow, any of those fill-in characters. I don't like them. So I don't like that idea at all. But the rumor is that they're going to continue with that plan, but if it fails, they might completely shut down their publishing line.
That's crazy.
I know, it's sad.
Hey, because here, spoiler alert, that's going to fail.
I know it's going to fail. I know.
Yeah, 5G apparently stands for fifth generation, right?
Oh, does it? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. From an article I read yesterday. But because I just saw a headline, DC might be ending their publishing, or what? They're just going to go out of business? Now, is the reason that guy got fired because the DC movies suck?
No. He has no connection to DC movies. No.
All right.
But to be fair, Jeff Johns, who I think used to be below him, then got promoted above him. Jeff Johns, for about a year, had taken over the DC cinematic universe. But then I believe after the failure of, I'm not sure which movie it was. It might have been Suicide Squad or Aquaman, but he got fired. And now things have kind of righted themselves a little bit with like Joker made $1 billion, and then whatever was, or Wonder Woman was good. But now, what's it called? Birds of Prey comes out and completely bombs, right? So.
It did bomb? Because it seemed to be getting decent reviews, but it didn't make money?
No. I'm not sure if it came out it came out a week before we did our Grease 2 episode, right?
Sure.
I think so. I think I mentioned that it was doing poorly, and as far as I know, I think it's barely cracked 100 million in the US, so.
Okay.
Pretty bad.
At least it made, that's still like 10 times more than Grease 2 made. So
yeah, that's true.
Still pretty good. Yeah. All right, so there you go. That's All-Star Comics, the original run. And so now we're here in 1977. And here at issue 69, this is 11 issues after it was brought back to life. And the team we're dealing with in the Justice Society of America at this point, we got Power Girl, Dr. Fate, Star-Spangled Kid, Wildcat, who else? Hawkman and Green Lantern, right?
Right.
That's the team. Right. And Green Lantern, we've talked about him before, but this is the old school Green Lantern with the red shirt and the little domino mask, and
his powered by and it's his ring is ineffective against anything made of wood.
Yes. And he's got the blonde hair. What's his real name?
Alan Scott.
And then Hawkman. This guy, in this issue, Hawkman, he doesn't even have the little hawk helmet. He's just got like a yellow wrestling mask.
I know. It's ridiculous. I know.
With a red hawk on his forehead.
Right.
I had never seen this before in my life. Like, how long did he wear this?
A couple years, I think, like in the late 50s maybe. But he definitely had it, yeah.
That's terrible. All right. But we've talked about those guys in the past on here. But some new characters we need to discuss, Michael. Power Girl. We've never talked Power Girl on this show.
Do you know anything about her?
I know she's stacked. That's what I know about Power Girl. So I did some research. I did some research on the Power Girl. Her real name is Kara Zor-El.
That's right.
And she's basically Earth-2 Supergirl.
Yes.
She's the cousin of Earth-2 Superman.
That's right.
And then she replaced Superman in the Justice Society of America because I guess this Earth-2 Superman, he wanted to deal with some personal matters. Mm-hmm. So he stepped aside, and then she basically filled his role. Is that right?
That's about right, yeah. I've never actually read those actual stories, but that's true. And I also have to point out that my whole life, I always thought of, Power Girl as this separate character because she is taller and, as we said, bustier and more aggressive than Supergirl. But it wasn't until recently that I realized, no, wait a minute. If she's a parallel Earth version of Kara, then she is technically the same person. Like they share the same DNA. Isn't that how that works, right?
I have no idea.
I think that's how it works in parallel dimensions, but that's just what I heard. Anyway.
All right. She was created by Jerry Conway, Wally Wood, and Rick Estrada, and her first appearance was All-Star Comics 58 in 1976. So when they brought All-Star Comics back, they introduced Power Girl. But she's most famous, Michael, for being top heavy.
That's right.
Very busty. And not only that, for having a boob window in her costume. Yes. So, like, her costume would be, like, all the way up to the neck, and then in the chest area, just be a big cutout, so you could see her cleavage.
In this issue, she doesn't have the boob window.
That is correct, because I will explain this. Now, Jerry Conway, he's the guy responsible for the boob window, but he said when they created it, it wasn't a sexual thing. It wasn't because to show off her breasts. It was just that every hero at the time had like an emblem on their chest, and he just wanted to do something different. So he cut out that area. Now, in theory, okay, Jerry, whatever. But again, he's lying. It's all about showing off her boobs. That's what it was all about. Come on, Jerry. I mean, he was like, what, 25 at the time? He's showing off her boobs. That's what he's doing.
Probably, yeah.
Let's not be...
Let's not beat around the bush.
Yes. So the boob window was closed, though, in issue 64, I believe. On the cover of 64, they show her having it, but in the issue itself, they closed it off.
Oh, okay.
Or boob window. And that was because DC publisher Jeanette Kahn said it was sexist.
Okay.
Knock it off. But now in this issue, Michael, in issue 69 here, she doesn't have the boob window, but her costume is still pretty low cut. Like at the beginning of the issue, it's not as low cut, but then at the end when she shows up, it's pretty low cut. So it's almost like the boob window's there without being, you know what I mean? Like it's
I know it still serves the same purpose. Yeah,
yeah. Like I don't understand what the difference is. I guess without the window, it doesn't focus on that as much. But whatever. And now here's another story that, according to this legend. That Wally Wood, who was inking and then drawing and inking these issues, he kept making Power Girl's breasts bigger and bigger each issue because he was convinced the editors weren't paying attention.
That's right. Yeah, I heard that.
But then they finally caught on and told him to knock it off. But here's the thing, though. I went back and I looked at the first 8, 9 issues of her, and she was always super stacked right from the start. And there was really no change in breast size from 58 to 65, and I did extensive research.
Okay. Did you measure? Did you use a?
Yes. Oh, okay. I measured. Yeah, there's really I couldn't tell any noticeable growth, so I don't know if that's legit or if that's just nonsense. I will say in this issue they did downplay her breasts in this issue. I would say.
Okay. Well, it could be because it's a different artist. It's Joe Staton or Joe Staton, right? So.
Yeah. I think, but like they seem much more subdued. They're not as
I hear you.
But anyway, so that's Power Girl. Now, so they closed off the boob window here, but then they brought it back. I don't know when. Years later, they brought it back because dudes are horny, so you need to show the boobs. But yeah, so that's Power Girl. Anything else about Power Girl we should know?
Not really. I can say quickly that after Crisis on Infinite Earths, when they merged all the Earths together, they only wanted to have one Superman, right? So they got rid of the Earth-2 Superman, and they also got rid of Supergirl because they didn't want Superman to have a cousin. And so then they were stuck with Power Girl. They said, well, what can we do with Power Girl? Then we want to keep her, but she can't be Superman's cousin. So they rewrote her origin and said that she was Atlantean.
That's right. Yeah. I think it's Secret Origins issue 2, if I recall correctly, when I was reading it. And we're familiar with Secret Origins.
Yes, we are.
Right here on this issue. But yeah, so they made her Atlantean. So now what? Is she Aquaman's cousin? Or?
No, I think she was an Atlantean from 45,000 years ago. So instead of being shot through space, she was shot through time or something. I don't know.
DC, I don't know what they're doing over there in DC. They make everything so convoluted and so.
I know.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
I agree.
All right. All right. Next up, we got Dr. Fate. And when I was a kid, I loved Dr. Fate because he has a cool costume. You know, he's got the gold helmet that covers his whole face and the yellow cape with the blue outfit. Yeah. His real name is Kent Nelson, and he's a powerful sorcerer and an agent of the Lords of Order. I don't know what that means. All right. He was the son of an archaeologist, and he and his father were exploring the Valley of Ur, which would be in modern-day Iraq, like southern Iraq. And his father found not a mummy, but a body and like a little tomb kind of thing. And this was actually a guy named Nabu, Nabu, and he was a mortal being from the planet Cilia, who had been in suspended animation for centuries. Unfortunately, when his father opened up Nabu's case, it was booby-trapped. He got poisoned and he died. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So Nabu took the son under his wing and taught him all the mystical arts and made him a big sorcerer. He gave him a magic helmet, and Dr. Fate's known for the Ankh, Ankh, the Ankh symbol, which is like the circle with like the cross under it, and it's the Egyptian key of life.
Just like Vinnie Vincent from Kiss. Remember, he had the Ankh makeup.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I remember. His first appearance was More Fun Comics, 1940, and he was created by Gardner Fox and Howard Sherman. So, like, Dr. Fate is basically DC's Doctor Strange.
Kind of, you could say that, yep.
Yeah. Although I guess Dr. Fate was way before Doctor Strange.
Yeah, like 20 years before, yep.
So, any other Dr. Fate stories, Michael?
Not really. I never really read many Dr. Fate stories. I just know that they did bring him back and give him his own series in the 80s and then again in the 90s. They're supposed to be pretty good, but I've never really read any of them.
I believe he's also married to like a lady who's like a Dr. Fate as well, right?
Yeah, there was a female one. Was it Isra Nelson, I think?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Star-Spangled Kid.
Yes.
His real name is Sylvester Pemberton.
Uh-huh.
It's a great name, Sylvester Pemberton.
Yep.
His first appearance was Star-Spangled Comics #1, 1941, and he's created by Jerry Siegel and Hal Sherman.
And I did not realize that until like this week.
Yeah.
Great.
Originally, he really didn't have any powers that I can know, but he started wearing the Cosmic Converter belt from his buddy Starman, who he mentioned briefly last issue. We'll get into more on Starman this issue. But it gave him powers. He could fly and, I don't know, do all kind of other nonsense, shoot energy. He later started Infinity Inc. and changed his name to Skyman.
That's right.
But then, Michael, do you know how he died?
No, I don't remember. How did he die?
My boy Solomon Grundy rubbed him out.
Oh, really?
Apparently, there's a guy named Mr. Bones. Are you familiar with this character?
Oh, of course, yes.
I don't know anything about Mr. Bones, but I guess he has a cyanide touch or something. So Solomon Grundy grabbed Mr. Bones and shoved him into Skyman's face and killed him. Like, ooh. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about Mr. Bones. Can you tell us anything about Mr. Bones?
The only thing I know, I believe his costume was designed by Todd McFarlane. That's about the only thing I know. He has a big cape. He has a skull face. Yeah. Pretty much all I know about him.
Yeah, Solomon Grundy killed the Star-Spangled Kid.
Yep.
Just another reason to love Solomon Grundy.
Yeah.
And the Star-Spangled Kid's costume, it's like blue with stars all over it.
Right. It's like a version of the American flag, kind of, I guess.
Without the stripes.
Right, right.
But he is literally a Star-Spangled Kid.
Right. Now, are you familiar with his partner?
No.
Because you just pointed out that, yes, his costume is like the American flag, but it doesn't have the stripes. Well, that's okay, because he has a partner named Stripesy, whose costume is the red and white stripes. Can you believe that?
Stripesy.
Yep.
What was Stripesy's power?
Nothing. They were just athletic, right? This was the 40s, so.
Star-Spangled Kid and Stripesy. Whatever happened to Stripesy?
I'm not sure, to be honest. The other weird thing about those two was that even though Star-Spangled Kid was the star and Stripesy was the partner, Stripesy was actually older. It was just a weird thing, yeah, bizarre.
Well, I read, a whole article about Star-Spangled Kid's history, and they didn't even mention Stripesy.
Ooh.
Wow. That's a slap in the face to Stripesy. But I pray to God Solomon Grundy killed him, too.
Possibly.
All right, number 4 here on the big list of characters we need to talk about, Wildcat.
Ooh.
And his real name is Ted Grant.
That's right.
First appearance, Sensation Comics #1, 1942. Created by Bill Finger.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
And Irwin Hansen. He was a professional heavyweight boxer. And that's the end of Wildcat. There he is. Basically.
Not much of a costume, eh? Just kind of a black costume with like a cat face.
Like a big cat. He's like a big black cat. Similar in a way, I guess you could say, to Black Panther, but you can see some of his face, though. His face isn't all covered.
Right.
And his mask looks more like a cat face.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess his backstory is he was a boxer, and they wanted... how did this go? They didn't want him to throw a fight, but they poisoned, like the mob, poisoned his opponent. But they gave him too much poison, and they killed the guy. And then they tried to blame Wildcat for it, and he became Wildcat to, prove his innocence, and then he became a superhero.
Bizarre. Again, his only power is he's a boxer, right?
But eventually he did get magical abilities somehow. I forget how, but he was cursed or something, so he actually did get 9 lives. So he can die and come back to life.
Isn't that funny how these guys that already have costumes and identities and they're superheroes, they also coincidentally get powers later on in their life? Isn't that great?
Because it's like someone said, hey, you know what? These characters are pretty lame. Let's give them something else. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So next up, we have Starman. And he's like a retired member of the Justice Society at this point in this issue. Like, he's no longer part of the team. We'll get into that later. But we mentioned him last week on All-Star Squadron because he was in the background of one of the pictures, and I had no idea who he was, and you explained to me that he has a gravity rod.
That's right.
Which is, but his real name is Ted Knight.
Yes.
Which, of course, is one of my favorite actors of all time.
That's Ted right. Knight. He was, what was he in again?
Well, he was Ted Baxter in the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Okay.
And he was also famous for his role in Caddyshack.
Oh, okay.
And Too Close for Comfort, the sitcom Too Close for Comfort. You remember that? Nothing?
I do remember that, but oh my God, that's going back.
All right, but his name's Ted Knight. He was from a wealthy family, but he loved science, Michael. And he teamed with Professor Abraham Davis, the same man who made the Phantom Lady's black light ray, and they created the gravity rod.
Nice.
Which is a big stick that gives him magical powers. It can harness the energy of the cosmos, and then he can fly and shoot all kind of rays and stuff. And his first appearance was Adventure Comics 61 from 1941, and he was created by Jack Burnley. He's very good. Anything else about Starman, Micah?
Well, only that I'm sure we'll get to this eventually, but there are several Starmans, including one co-created by Steve Ditko and Paul Levitz. Another one created by, I think, Jerry Conway, and these are both in the 70s. Then there was another one after Crisis created by Roger Stern and Tom Lyle. And then there was yet another one in the 90s in the post-Crisis universe. Since everything was merged together, they incorporated the JSA history into, modern history. And so at that point, Jack Knight was retired, and he had passed on the cosmic rod to his first son, but then his first son died. So then the second younger son took it over, and there was a 90s series called Starman that a lot of people, I've never really read it, but a lot of people really think it's one of the best superhero comics of the 90s.
I can't remember the last time I passed on my cosmic rod to anybody. It's been way too long. There was also a movie called Starman back in like the 80s, but it completely unrelated.
Yes. I believe in somewhere in the credits they do credit DC for the name, though.
Really?
Yeah, because it's trademark DC, or copyright DC. Yeah.
Interesting.
Just like Karate Kid. Yep, there's a Karate Kid in the Legion of Superheroes.
That's right. All right. So one other character we need to discuss, and that's the reason why you picked this issue, Michael, because you said it's the debut of the Huntress.
That's right.
And she's billed on the cover. We'll get into the cover in a minute. They named the Huntress right on the cover. They show her little face. But then they never refer to her in the book as the Huntress at all.
No.
And she just really appears in full in the final panel of this issue.
Right.
But it's her real name is Helena Wayne.
Yep.
And she was created by Paul Levitz and Joe Staton, who are the writer and artist of this issue.
Yep.
And her first appearance, Michael, was this issue, but it was also DC Superstar 17, which came out the exact same day. That's
right. And when I was picking between the two, I was going to choose that one, but it was a really long, thick issue with like 3 different stories. So I chose this one instead.
All right. So Helena Wayne, this is the daughter of Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle. Was that her name?
That's right.
Catwoman. Yeah, Catwoman. Yeah. So what else can you tell us about the Huntress in this Earth-2 version of the Huntress?
Honestly, I don't know much about her. I've only really read this issue and then Crisis. Because what happened was by 1985, right? Her origin was revamped, which we've talked about, right? Didn't we? Or no?
Yeah, we mentioned it on the Crisis thing.
Right. The only thing I could say about this version of the Huntress is that she disappeared from DC, but then when they did the 1990s or 2000s Birds of Prey show, instead of using the Helena Bertinelli origin, they used the Helena Wayne origin. So in that version, in that TV show, she was the daughter of Batman and Catwoman.
Okay. That's it. From what I can remember, like, do you know how I can't remember how Catwoman died in this Earth-2 because she's dead.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I don't know.
But I guess the premise or the motivation for the Huntress to become a superhero was after her mother died, someone released photos of her mother killing someone in her early days as Catwoman, saying that she was a murderer. So the Huntress got upset about this and became a hero to clear her mother's good name.
Really?
And she eventually proved that those photos were fake.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not much of a motivation there, eh?
Well, I don't know. Prove your mom's not a murderer.
Not as dramatic as Helena Bertinelli's origin, or Valerie Bertinelli's origin for that matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Valerie is a way better one. All right, so there we go. There's your background for this issue. Now everyone's up to date. Let's go. All-Star Comics 69. I'm looking at the cover here, Michael. I like the cover.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I will say the Justice Society of America banner is very large. It takes up like half the cover.
I know, you're right. Well, because it's All-Star Comics presents the legendary Justice Society of America, right? So,
and then at the bottom of the cover, you got a lot of characters. In the foreground, we got the Starman, Dr. Midnight, Wonder Woman, Robin there, and they're facing off against the current. Oh yeah, Our Man's in there too. They're facing off against the current Justice Society of America who are coming at you at the camera. You got Dr. Fate, Green Lantern, Wildcat. Flash is in here as well. I forgot to mention Flash. Yeah. But we've discussed the Flash many times. And Star-Spangled Kid as well. And on the left side of the cover, we have a white box with the headshots of Power Girl, Dr. Fate, Green Lantern, the Flash, Star-Spangled Kid, and introducing the Huntress.
Yep.
But they kind of just totally forget about Hawkman, huh? They're like, yeah, fuck Hawkman. I guess Wildcat isn't in that little box either.
Well, technically, yeah. I mean, it's kind of vague about they also don't mention anyone else. But I mean, we don't have Batman on the cover. Well, Bruce Wayne. We don't have Superman on the cover. We don't have.
But you think they would mention like all the key members of the current team?
The actual team, yeah. I guess not.
But yeah, again, they introduced the Huntress, but they really don't because they don't call her the Huntress.
No.
At all in the issue. But anyway. And then at the bottom, there's a box that says Sensational Showdown Issue as the original JSAers come back to battle the new team. That's tremendous.
Very cool.
I always like stuff when a bunch of heroes are fighting each other.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, it's 35 cents.
Yeah.
That's a lot of entertainment for 35 cents.
It's also 70s, right? Your favorite decade.
Yep, 77. All right, Michael. So the issue is called United We Fall.
Mm-hmm.
Take it away.
So we are on Earth-2 here, and we come in on the Justice Society, flying down onto the roof of their headquarters, and they've just finished up a mission. And the page is divided into two, and on the bottom we see somebody inside who we will find out later is the elder Bruce Wayne of Earth-2, right?
Yes.
And he's waiting for them to come down. So they're all chatting on the rooftop.
Well, he's now the commissioner, right?
Yes. He's replaced Commissioner Gordon. He's Commissioner Wayne. That's right. Yeah. And they're all chatting on the rooftop. And then it's funny because then Power Girl's getting impatient. And for some reason, I didn't realize Green Lantern could do this. But his ring actually creates a hole in the roof of the building, and they're able to walk through it. I didn't know he could do that, but whatever.
He can do anything he wants.
Yeah, anything you can think of. So then they go into their headquarters, and Commissioner Bruce Wayne is waiting for them there, and he's all pissed off, and he wants to put them all under arrest.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really figure out why until later, because again, they just finished up this adventure from JLA 147, 148, in which they teamed up with the Justice League and the Legion of Superheroes. I can't wait to read it, but whatever. So anyway, Bruce Wayne wants to arrest them because of reckless endangerment, and we find out later it's because Psycho Pirate, our favorite supervillain,
our buddy Psycho Pirate.
That's right. He possessed, was it Dr. Fate, I think?
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, and made him do all this crazy stuff, right?
Yes.
So he wants to arrest them. Yep. And so Dr. Fate is kind of arguing with them, but Bruce Wayne has got the cops there, and so they come in with their shock guns. I don't know what shotguns. Yeah. And then Power Girl's arguing back and forth, and everyone's yelling. And then, of course, this is a commentary on police brutality, obviously, because even though... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, in fairness, it looks like Power Girl's about to slap Bruce Wayne.
Yes, she does have her arm raised, and the cops have their shotguns drawn. And even though it seems like Bruce Wayne is maybe starting to listen to reason, the cops are trigger happy, and they overreact and fire their shotguns. And I don't even know what's coming out, a laser of some kind or fire?
Yeah, because just to clarify, you're not saying shotguns, are you?
No.
Shock guns.
Yeah,
guns.
SHOCK, yes.
Yeah, and there's kind of like, looks like a laser beam coming out. I don't know, but it almost looks like it's cutting her in half.
Right.
But what happens is it blows away her costume and it cuts her belly. Like she's got a scratch on her belly that she's bleeding. It looks like a paper cut.
Her navel.
But apparently it's a devastating paper cut because she just collapses.
Yeah. Kind of a weird injury. Again, it's like they should have clarified exactly what that thing was shooting. Like it looks like a combination of electricity and fire, right?
Something like that.
Figure out what it is.
But we get one panel of Power Girl staring directly at the camera, looking shocked, and her costume is ripped. There's smoke coming off her stomach, and there's a cut across her belly. And then we get one panel of Star-Spangled Kid, Green Lantern, and Wildcat looking just headshots of them looking very sad and scared. Then we get a panel of Power Girl's head dropping, and then we get another panel of Dr. Fate, Hawkman, and Flash looking very scared. And then the fifth and final panel, we get Power Girl passed out, face down on the floor.
It's great.
What drama. What drama.
We should also point out that the narration actually says, born under Krypton's scarlet sun, nothing less than a bursting shell can pierce her skin. But today's technology has far surpassed the bursting shell. So we can take from this that the Earth-2 Superman and Power Girl are much weaker than the Earth-1 Superman and Supergirl, right? Because there's no way any man-made weapon could have done that to Superman or Supergirl, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think
and I like that better.
To be honest, I like that better too, yeah.
Yeah. So then the Justice Society, they see Power Girl, they just go nuts. They start beating the hell out of the cops.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then they decide to take off. And look at this. Now, not only can Green Lantern create a hole in the ceiling, Dr. Fate can create a hole with his Ankh.
Yeah, he does it. He can only do it in walls.
Yeah.
Green Lantern can do it in ceilings and roofs. And he can only do it in walls.
That's right.
So you need both of them.
Right. Yeah, for every mission.
But they escape with Dr. Fate carrying away Power Girl. Because they got to get her to a hospital.
That's right. And then Bruce Wayne's yelling at them, you're not above the law, I'll find you, whatever. And then, of course, what? And then all of a sudden, two other heroes run into the headquarters, it's Robin and Hourman. And Robin has his adult costume. Have you ever seen this costume before?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you to comment on this costume because I think this is the first time I've ever seen it. He's got like his mask, like a bigger mask. It almost looks like a bigger mask. Then he has a red chest area, yellow around the shoulder blades and neck, green underpants, yellow leggings, green boots, yellow cape, green gloves.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly.
It is strange. Yeah.
It's a version of his classic costume with yellow leggings added instead of bare legs, right?
Yeah, basically, but the top's a little different too.
Yeah, it is definitely different. Yeah, but
it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
At all. No. Hourman's costume is also a little different too. I think it's different color. Maybe I'm not sure.
That looks pretty similar to Hourman, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Hourman.
He's cool. Yeah. So then Bruce Wayne he's like talking to Robin, and he activates a complex electronic mini circuit in the symbol of the R on his chest, right?
Yep.
And this contacts. This is Ted Knight now, Dr. Midnight, right? Who's retired.
No. Ted Knight is Starman.
Oh, that's right. This is Starman. So he contacts Starman, and then he also contacts Charles McNider,
that is Dr. Midnight.
That's Dr. Midnight, right? And it also contacts Diana Prince, who of course we all know is Wonder Woman. And it shows them all like in their, where they are or whatever. And so
their
then
day jobs. They're all in their day jobs. Yeah.
Right. And so Bruce Wayne and Robin and Hourman are now waiting. So then we cut over to our first interlude. And this is, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not you just saying that. It's a big red box with yellow letters. First interlude.
Right. I did this a lot in those days. I don't know why, but anyway.
Yeah.
So then we see.
It's like the Huntress. It's the Huntress. We don't know it's the Huntress, but she's sitting in a tree spying on the Justice Society of America as they take Power Girl to a special hospital.
Right. And it's obviously her silhouette. She looks like Batman, so I think the implication is supposed to be that it's Batman. But
they're basically drawing Batman in silhouette. They're not even trying to draw Huntress in silhouette. It's Batman in silhouette.
Absolutely, yeah. So they get Power Girl to the hospital, and then we cut away, and now we're seeing who's answered the call, Bruce Wayne's call, and it's like we said before, Dr. Midnight, Hourman, or he was already there, Starman, Wonder Woman, but there's also Green Lantern. Oh no, sorry. This is now.
You're getting confused. Yes.
Yeah. So now they're. Oh, so these are the same heroes from before. Now they've flown back.
Yeah. They left the hospital.
Right, because now they're in the Batcave. Sorry, Jesus, I forgot about this part. Yeah. So they're in the Batcave. And Bruce Wayne has called them there because they're all supposed to talk, I guess, but that doesn't exactly happen.
Yeah, because when they show up, Bruce Wayne, he's sitting there with his arms crossed, smoking a pipe, looking all cool. He's like, yeah, I got a surprise for you. And then Captain Midnight, or Dr. Midnight, I always call him Captain Midnight, seriously. Let's file the paperwork. Let's make it official. His new name is Captain Midnight.
All right,
then Robin, Hourman, Starman, and Wonder Woman come out from behind that big penny.
That's right.
That big coin or whatever in the Batcave. And they confront the current Justice Society of America. And then all hell breaks loose, Michael. They all start fighting.
That's right.
That's a great panel at the bottom. Bottom left panel, Wonder Woman throwing her lasso. That's a great panel.
What about the next page? The full splash page of them all fighting. Isn't that cool?
Well, the fighting's a bit stiff, but it's still a good cover or good page, though.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the art later, but yeah, I guess it's more the idea of it is cool. It's just cool to see it laid out that way, them all fighting.
Yeah,
and it's also
right in the middle of the issue. Yeah.
It's also funny how the narration tries to kind of match them up. You notice that?
Yeah.
Starman battles the Star-Spangled Kid, exchanging bolts of cosmic energy where they once exchanged knowledge. And I love that. And then it's like Wonder Woman's Amazonian bracelets reflect Green Lantern's verdant beams. Hawkman and Robin renew the ancient confrontation of age and youth. Like they try to give everything a theme, right? Okay, and then I'll finish here. Dr. Midnight's infrared vision tracks the Scout Speedsters. I can't read this because my issue is all like smudgy, but what does it say? Scout Speedsters what? At the bottom there, the second last thing. The second last caption.
Yeah, I can't
Oh, you can't read it. Yeah, you have the same copy as me. I can't read it.
Oh, yeah, I think it's movement, maybe? Or...
No, I don't think it's that. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just a big black bulb.
Yeah.
All right.
Then it says, our man pits scientific strength against sorcery, and Wildcat, in his characteristically direct manner, attacks the heart of the problem, meaning Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're all thematically connected, sort of, but not really.
I disagree, too.
So it's cool. There's a lot of fisticuffs, and then we see a really cool shot of the classic 1950s Batmobile, right, as they're fighting.
Well, yeah, so Star-Spangled Kid is fighting Starman, and but Starman, he's older and wiser, so he tricks the Star-Spangled Kid by using his gravity rod to bring that giant penny up from behind Star-Spangled Kid and smack him with it.
Yeah.
It tricked him. And then Flash is chasing Dr. Midnight. Now, keep in mind, Flash is, really fast. Yet Dr. Midnight apparently has a lead on him that Flash is chasing him. How is that even possible? But so then when Flash is chasing him, Dr. Midnight leads him into the Batmobile, which, like you said, is the classic version with like the big bat face on the front, kind of.
Yes.
And then Dr. Midnight jumps over the Batmobile and Flash just runs right into the side of the car.
Ridiculous.
Like he couldn't see that car there,
Yeah,
he couldn't see it. It just boom. And then we got Robin and Hawkman fighting on that giant dinosaur. And again, can you explain to me why there's a giant dinosaur in the Batcave? I think I asked you this before and you had no answer. Have you been able to figure this out? Why?
No, well, they're all souvenirs from various crimes, from various adventures.
Yeah, but like, what one was that?
I honestly have no idea, but that's something. I mean, I'm all for tradition, but I always thought Batman's Batcave looked idiotic with a freaking giant dinosaur in it.
In a big penny. Yeah.
The penny I could kind of forget because it's like Two-Face, but I think there's also a Joker ace or a Joker card there somewhere, isn't there? Or there used to be, but
yeah, I think they did share that earlier, actually.
Yeah, but the dinosaur just doesn't fit.
So yeah, they're fighting on top of the dinosaur, and it's kind of tough to tell what happens here, but basically Robin is like suplexing Hawkman onto the back of the dinosaur. He's
got his legs wrapped around like the upper part of the dinosaur's jaw.
But there's like very sharp teeth in this dinosaur, so wouldn't his legs be getting devoured by the teeth?
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah.
So then, this might be my favorite one though. Dr. Fate is using his Ankh power, shooting mystical beams at Our Man. So what does Our Man do? How does he block him? He blocks him with a filing cabinet, of course.
Right.
That'll stop his magic beams.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So now we cut back to the hospital, and what's going on here, Michael?
So now we see the silhouette of what looks like Batman, but is not Batman, peeking into the window of the hospital, and then we see that it's Power Girl in the hospital, Bruce Wayne. Oh, no, that's not Bruce Wayne. Who is it that comes to visit her?
It's Clark Kent.
Ah, right. Okay. So Clark Kent comes to visit her, and then she kind of just watches, takes off. Then we cut back to...
At the final panel, we get the first glimpse that it's not Batman.
Yes, because we see the curves of her hips.
Yeah, very hippie if it's Batman.
Yep. That's right.
So we get the clue that it's a girl jumping out of there.
Yeah. And then it's funny, too, because then we cut to the exterior of Wayne Manor, and we can clearly see this is different from the Earth-1 Batman, because I've never seen Wayne Manor with a giant barn next to it. Notice that? It's ridiculous, but hey, whatever, right?
Well, he likes to farm in his off time.
Yeah.
So then, we get Green Lantern and Wonder Woman fighting, and then Wildcat and Bruce Wayne are duking it out. And then and Robin, he made short work of Hawkman, so now he's tackling Wildcat from behind.
Yep.
And the fight rages on.
Yeah.
But then, Michael, what brings the fight to a halt?
Oh, the introduction of the gray-haired Guardian, who was the first of their kind, and in a sense, they are all his children, and they will listen. Superman bursts through carrying Power Girl, and he says to them, "Enough! Stop this insanity now."
Yeah, so Superman comes bursting through the cave or whatever. But here's the thing, Michael. He's carrying Power Girl in front of him.
Yes.
So basically, he's just slamming her into the wall.
Right. He's using her as a battering ram. Yeah.
He should have like punched with his right hand and cradled her in his left away from the wall. Maybe that would have been a better way to depict it. But instead, he's just flying her right through the wall.
Right. Right.
Go, Power Girl. Bang. So, yeah, but he calms the situation. Everyone sees Superman and Power Girl, and they just calm down.
Also, her costume has been repaired. Anyway.
Yes. He can also sew. This gray-haired guardian. He's a wizard with a needle and thread. But basically, what they're telling him is, "Hey, Power Girl's like, hey, it's not Bruce Wayne, the Psycho Pirate. He's controlling Bruce Wayne. He's making him do this."
That's right.
Now, how does she know this exactly?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Because remember, this all started because she was about to slap the nonsense out of Bruce Wayne, and she got gunned down. So, yet somehow, she now knows that it's Psycho Pirate.
Well, I guess she just inferred. I don't know.
Huh. All right. so then Dr. Fate uses his mystical, magical, nonsensical powers to erase Psycho Pirate's influence over Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne comes back to his senses, and he starts weeping like a small child.
Right. It would have been nice to see, like an outline of Psycho Pirate's face or something, right?
Yeah, I agree. Just something, because we get Psycho Pirate a lot in this, but we don't see him.
Right.
Or maybe a cutaway to Psycho Pirate looking in a window like, drats.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Just something. But all right, so now Power Girl and Bruce Wayne, they make up. Bruce Wayne hugs her. And really, why would you pass up an opportunity to hug Power Girl? You pretty much have to.
Yep.
He says something really dopey. What is it here?
Child, what can I ever have done that the good Lord let me be surrendered by such innocent souls?
Such beautiful, innocent souls.
Yes.
That costume is anything but innocent, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So everything's good. Everything ends. But then, Michael, in the final panel, what happens?
We see, looking through the binoculars, someone is looking at the barn. And they say, they've broken the spell. Wonderful. Now I know he'll be all right. And my work can begin. And we reveal the visage of the Huntress.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, she has binoculars and she's looking. But so they were fighting in the barn? I thought they were in the Batcave.
Well, I think the barn is connected to the Batcave. So I think they came up through the floor at some point. Okay. Maybe with Green Lantern's, his power to pass through ceiling.
That's right.
I don't know, because if you flip back, you can see that like they're fighting on like hay, like
that is true.
Yeah, like that the part of the barn that's like up where they keep the hay. I don't know what that's called, but yeah, whatever that is, that's where they were. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but
that is true. They are. So when did they?
I don't know.
I'm trying to.
To see.
Yeah, like when Robin tackles Wildcat, they're in the Batcave because
that's true.
There, and then I don't know.
Oh, see right here.
Like a maddening marathon dance, the struggle continues ever onward.
Right, even as glowing green tendrils of force lift the heroes up in a desperate attempt to bring help to the Green Lantern above. So that's where it happens. That's where they get into the barn. Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Confusing, yeah.
So Superman is not bursting through the cave. He's bursting through... All right, so he only threw Power Girl through like a wooden barn.
Right, so she should be fine.
She's all right. Yeah. She just gets out of a hospital. Let me slam you through the wall. Yeah. All right. So there it is. We get Huntress there at the end, and then they tease it. But yeah, she said, now that he's back to being good, my work can begin. Geez, I wonder what her work is, Michael.
We shall find out in A Parting of Ways on October 18th.
Hey, but I'm not going to find out because I died next time.
Oh, I'll tell you something. The first thing I'll say is, after reading All-Star Squadron last week, I wanted to sell all of my issues. After reading this, I actually want to go back and read these issues.
Yeah, this isn't. Yeah, I don't mean to dismiss this. This is a solid issue. This is good stuff. I don't mind it at all. I think this might be my favorite issue that you've ever picked.
Really?
I know that's a low bar to get over. But this is a fun issue, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised, like, in the last couple of years, I've realized how good a writer Paul Levitz was. Like, because like I said, he did Legion of Superheroes. He did Starman in the 70s. And yeah, he's a really good writer.
All right, let's talk about Paul Levitz, born in 1956, because I had no concept of him at all. I had never heard his name before.
Wow, he was also, was he the president of DC later? Or?
Yep.
Yeah, yep. Okay.
But born in 56, he was raised in Brooklyn, New York. As a teenager, he revived the comic fanzine, The Comic Reader.
Ah, okay.
And in 1972, at the age of 16, he started working for DC.
Of course, just like everyone did back then.
Yep. Because Joe Orlando was familiar with him for that fanzine and said, "Hey, kid, you want a job?" So he started doing monkey work around the offices, and he eventually became Joe Orlando's assistant editor. And then he became the editor of Adventure Comics in 1976 before his 20th birthday.
That's depressing.
Yes, it is.
Anyway.
So in 1978, he became the editor for all the Batman line of books. So how about that?
Wow.
At 22, he's controlling Batman. That's your dream, Mike, to control Batman. And he was
22. I was working at Best Buy. Continue. Okay.
I still had trouble with my colors when I was 22. He wrote All-Star Comics 59, and then 62 through 74, and that was a span of 76 to 1978. And this was his favorite run he ever did, according to him. He said his All-Star Comics was his favorite work. And he wrote the Legion of Superheroes from 77 to 79, and then from 81 to 89. So, that's quite the run on Legion of Superheroes. He was DC president and publisher in the 2000s. And in 2010, he wrote the book 75 Years of DC Comics, The Art of Modern Myth-Making. Are you familiar with this book, Michael?
I haven't read it, but I am familiar with it, yes.
It's like a massive 770-page hardcover book that is like 16 inches high, 12 inches wide, and 4 inches deep.
Yep.
It is enormous. So there it is, Paul Levitz. What else can you tell us about the Paul Levitz?
I can only say one quick thing. When after he retired, he went back from being a president, he went back to writing, and he did a few issues of Justice Society in the 2000s with George Perez. And again, they were awesome. Like, I bought them just for the Perez art, but I was shocked to see how good the scripts were. So yeah, he's still a good writer. Also, I can say I think that the DC that well, not you, but me, that I love, but the classic DC, I think the way that you say, like the way that we both agree that the classic Marvel kind of died with Jim Shooter, I think the classic DC, it held on for longer. And I think it died with Paul Levitz because the reason there's a couple reasons. Like, for example, he protected the Watchmen from ever having a sequel or any spin-offs for 20 years. And then as soon as he retired, they did Before Watchmen and Doomsday Clock and the movie and all this other stuff, and the TV show. He also, I think he had a tight rein on continuity. Also, if you look at when he retired, it also matches up exactly with when Dan Didio started to try to change things, and then eventually they did the New 52, and then they did Rebirth, and they did all this other stuff. And so I think that even though Crisis happened in 86, I think the old DC still held out for like 20 more years with him being around. So I think he's like the last of the old guard, kind of, you know?
Yeah, and his rating here is real solid. It's kind of like an older, this whole book is kind of like Silver Agey, I would say.
Yeah.
And even his writing, like it's narration heavy, and it's kind of like there's a grandeur to it, like trying to make every moment like super important, kind of, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
right.
Just a tone of the voice.
But it's funny because even though, I mean, he's 10 or 20 years younger than Roy Thomas, but to me, he's a better writer. Like he never seems like he's trying too hard ever, right? Like it's just,
yes.
Even though it's that classic style, it's like, yeah, it's effortless. It's great.
And that's the thing. We talk about these old comic books, how the writing is pretty hokey. That's because when you look at it, none of these guys were writers. None of them, they weren't trained writers. Roy Thomas wasn't a trained writer. They're just kids who loved comic books who got into the business without any actual training in writing.
That's a good point. It's a really good point.
Like, none of them have degrees. none of them have histories of novelists. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just writing comic books. They were kids writing books for kids. That's what they were doing.
That's definitely, yeah. The generation that came after the 60s, that's absolutely true. But the funny thing is, the guys in like the 40s and 50s and 60s, they were like writers that wrote for science fiction magazines and novels, and then they just they're mostly were struggling, so they do work in comics. But yeah, they were all, as far as I know, trained and probably even though they were writing for kids, they were probably actually much better writers.
Yeah, but like this group, from this the Roy Thomas era. Not
definitely
so much.
Fans, definitely. Yeah, fans turn pros. That's it.
But this Paul Levitz guy, again, he had a very similar, a young age, getting into comics. He went to college, but he dropped out and just focused on, his job at DC. So he learned on the job, and he did a good job with it. But
absolutely, yeah. All
right, so the artist here is Joe Staton, and he was born in 1948 in North Carolina. He started with Charlton Comics in 1971. He gained acclaim for his work on E-Man. Can you tell us anything about E-Man?
I've heard of E-Man, and I know what he looks like, but I've never read an E-Man comic. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, he has a big, I guess his chest logo, it's a big E, but it's also E equals MC squared. Like the equation is there as well. And I guess it's supposed to be kind of like a parody of superheroes in a way. Like there's humor to it, but I've never read it, and I don't know. E-Man. All right, he was hired by Roy Thomas to work for Marvel.
Nice.
Where he did inks for the Avengers and the Incredible Hulk, and then Paul Levitz recruited him to DC to do All-Star Comics, and he drew issues 66 to 74. He also drew Superboy and Green Lantern. He had quite the run on Superboy, I think.
Huh.
I don't know the exact number of issues because his Wikipedia page is scant. But from what he has a website, and the bibliography on his website, it lists each issue chronologically. Not
really?
Okay. Not in groups. But when I went through the list, and it's an extensive list, I noticed Superboy a lot. But he also did Green Lantern, which could be why he did the Pie Face Secret Origin story.
Yes, that's right. He did. Yep, in the 80s. Yep.
In 2010, he started drawing Scooby-Doo for DC's young readers or whatever. And then in 2011, he took over the Dick Tracy comic strip with writer Mike Curtis.
That's right. I knew
and
that.
The duo, they worked together on not only Scooby-Doo and Dick Tracy, but also Richie Rich and Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Awesome.
How about that, Michael?
Yep.
So the art here, again, it's very Silver Age-ish, I would say. It's old school comic book art, like old school. I like it.
Yeah, like it's the kind of art where I can understand if someone looked at it and they didn't like it.
Yes.
But I think it's if you study it and look closely, you realize he knows exactly what he's doing. It's just that his style is very, like you said, Silver Agey.
But it's interesting because his style, if I remember the Pie Face thing, it definitely had a more modern feel to it, the art. Yeah,
he evolved, but like if you see like his stuff on like Dick Tracy, it's totally suited for that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and I'm thinking back to that Pie Face story. Remember those panels where maybe that's why they picked him, because they did those flashbacks to old school Green Lantern where he did the crazy punch.
Right. That's right. Forgot.
And it looked
that.
very, very much like Golden Age, Silver Age art. So
right.
Yeah, like the anatomy here is kind of screwy on a couple of occasions. There's one with Power Girl's leg where she's tapping her foot. Or
right. I noticed that. That was weird.
Yes. Her calf, lower leg is very strange. And like Bruce Wayne's face, the proportions are a little off on occasion. But it's all right.
Yeah, it's like
works.
He's not really a typical superhero artist. He's more like a cartoonist, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
Yeah, and like when you look, like sometimes the figures look so out of proportion, like the head's way too small or too big, but overall it's cool though. I like it.
Yeah, it's good classic old school art, comic book art. So I'm fine with it. Overall, Michael, what would you give this?
I don't know. I guess I'd give it maybe a 7. Because like I definitely will. I'm gonna go back and read the rest of this series, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll give it a 7 as well.
Whoa,
that's high praise from me. But I like it because it's just an old school. It's a fun book. Comic. You get a bunch of heroes fighting each other. There's punches, and it made sense. So yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And also, I think you mentioned this, but the early issues of All-Star from this revival were by Jerry Conway.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading those too.
Yep. So there you go. And we got to see Power Girl.
Yep.
So nothing wrong with that. All right, Michael, anything else about All-Star Comics?
I guess my only question, because I've always wondered this, for you is, would you rather read about the Justice Society in World War, like set during World War II, or as old men like this? Or either. Or
That's
both?
interesting.
Yeah.
I like Justice Society. So I would probably like to read them in the olden days,
Sure.
but not necessarily tied into World War II. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like
just
50s?
Even 30s.
Yeah, 30s. That'd
back
be great.
I just don't like. I don't necessarily like the idea of them being tied to a world war. Like if they were just having adventures on their own,
Sure.
that'd be better. You know?
Actually, I do agree, because it always raises the question of why didn't they just go win the war, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's too. Yeah, because most of the characters didn't come until 41 or later. But I'd love to see new stories of Batman and Superman and all of them. Just set it in like pre-World War II, where it's like the Depression, and it's like 1930s gangsters with the Tommy guns and all that. Like that'd be great,
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah. But I don't dislike seeing them in the modern era either.
No, I don't.
Like I like the gray-haired Superman. That's
too.
Cool.
Very cool.
The big thing is I like Earth-2 and Justice Society of America. I do not like Earth-1 and Justice League. So.
But, well, I mean, that's fair. I mean, they're definitely, there's a different vibe to them, that's for sure. So I can understand that. Yep. I must say, I definitely don't like them merging the two Earths. I prefer them to be separate.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Like why did they feel they had to combine them? I don't.
To be less confusing, but it's actually more confusing.
Yes, it's more confusing.
Yeah, I agree.
When I was a kid, I had no trouble dealing with two Earths.
Exactly. No one did. I was 5 years old. Remember, my first ever comic had, the Superboy time travel thing, and then my second comic had Batman of Earth-1 with Earth-2, and I was not confused. I was what's the word? Not perplexed, but intrigued.
Yeah.
There you go.
But now as grown adults, well, you're an adult. I'm like a man-child. I can't figure out DC's continuity. It confuses me to no end. But when I was a kid, two Earths, that's fine. No problem. So
you know what's hilarious is they're currently in the middle of rewriting it again to make Wonder Woman the first superhero. Just because she's popular because of the movie. But anyway.
And because she's a woman.
Yeah.
That's fine. All right. So next week, Michael.
Yep. Bring it on.
My pick. We're going back to Marvel because again, I've already picked my allotted DC comic books. I've done 2. I'm done. We're going back to Marvel, and we're going to a book that I've never read.
Whoa!
From 1977, The Champions.
Whoa! Nice.
Issue 16.
Nice.
For those unfamiliar with The Champions, this is a team featuring Hercules, Black Widow, Ghost Rider, Angel, and Iceman. Now, if you were to charge Michael to say, hey, give me a team book with 5 heroes that have nothing in common. Well, Angel and Iceman are obviously linked through the X-Men, but the Ghost Rider, Black Widow, and Hercules. What?
No connection. Yeah, there's no theme there, that's for sure.
And the reason I picked this issue is because it also features Magneto,
nice.
the Beast, Doctor Doom, and a secret surprise guest.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on a second. I'm looking this up. Which issue is this again?
16.
16. All right. I looked it up right now.
Champions only had 17 issues, and we're getting issue 16.
All right. I know that they were co-created or created by Tony Isabella, right?
Possibly, yes. I think that's right. But the writer here is Bill Mantlo.
Nice.
And the penciler is a fellow named Bob Hall.
Oh, yeah. I've interviewed Bob Hall. This is great.
Oh.
I'm looking forward to
All right.
it. Yeah.
See, I had no idea of who Bob Hall is, so this will be good.
Cool. Yeah. This looks like a lot of fun.
All right. The Champions.
That's right. Awesome. I'm pumped. All right.
Now, Michael,
yeah.
before we end the show, last week, I believe, I get confused because of the continuity of how we record these things. Sure. But I believe you were supposed to come up with a closing line for each episode.
Oh, well, I think I'm just going to reuse the same one I came up with last week.
All right.
You remember what it was?
Yeah, but I thought you were supposed to come up with like some options and have people vote.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. You know what? I think I'm going to outsource it to somebody. I'm going to outsource it to Larry because he's also a Grease 2 fan.
All right.
Well, I think we should put forth the official invitation. We should invite Larry on the show. We know that he only likes Venom. So if Larry wants to come on the show and review maybe Amazing Spider-Man 300.
Well, I'll say this, Michael. Last week on the LCS show, I was trying to get Larry to commit. Okay. And he may have wavered on the idea of doing the Spider-Man issue where he got married.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Whatever.
But
yeah, I mean, like, it's a good issue, but it destroyed him for 30 years. But that's cool. Whatever. If he wants to review that one, that's fine.
You really think Spider-Man getting married ruined him?
I didn't like it, and I'm glad that they erased it. You know they erased it from continuity, right?
Yeah, see, I was outraged when they erased it.
Well, we can talk about that if we review it.
All right.
But yeah, that's great. Okay, so the official invite is out there for Larry, and the official outsourcing of Larry choosing a sign-off for our show based on dialogue from Grease 2 is also out there.
Yes.
But for now, this has been the latest episode of your favorite Bronze Age comic book podcast, hosted by two people named Mike. Okay? This is the best out of all of them. Okay? So until next Tuesday, disperse.